Fit for Life Radio. Bacardi 151. I mean, episode number
151.
151.
That's the only alcohol I can't drink.
I mean, it's basically rubbing alcohol at that point.
Mix it.
Does that mean it's 151 proof?
Yeah.
So it's like double most liquors?
It's heavy stuff, man. It's like gasoline. Isn't it flammable? Like, it's the stuff you can light on fire. I used to mix it with orange juice. Just 151 and OJ.
The things you do.
It makes like, you know, that mouth-watering feeling you get when you're about to throw up. I like immediately get that when I think about it.
Can you drink orange juice now?
Yeah, OJ. OJ's good. Full pulp.
Sometimes orange juice by itself tastes like Bacardi 151.
It does.
You know when it like stings or burns a lot? It's like that good.
I like that good burn though.
That good burn.
Just like soda.
At Trader Joe's, they have this like what is most orange like pasteurized? It's non-pasteurized, so it's like raw, raw
orange juice,
raw fresh squeezed orange juice, and it hits different.
Does it?
Yeah.
I have to get some of that good stuff, fresh from the orange.
But today we're not talking about
raw orange juice
or Bacardi 151. We're talking about planning.
Plan it, baby. Plan your day. Plan your life.
The cliche, if you're not planning for success, you're planning for failure, right? And more just an overarching plain view of, you know, doing this for years, working with people, whether it's exercise or eating. And, you know, we kind of will find certain little individual specific things to blame, but most of them lead back to lack of preparation and planning.
You just didn't plan in some way, shape, or form. You know? And that takes a lot of different forms, planning. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can do it. But the lack thereof of any of those causes a lot of problems.
First, we have to get out of the way. Like, some people get frustrated that we even have to plan, right? But the reality is, and we, you know, harp on this all the time, is it's our modern environment, right? Because couches and thermostats exist, right? So we are always going to lean towards comfort, right? So it's easy to go home and sit on our couch in our temperature controlled environment where it's comforting, like
just be comfortable.
Peak, you know, imagine telling a person from the past about what we have now and they'd be amazed, right?
Yeah, like, hey, the temperature stays the same and you're on this cushion and life's good.
Yeah, and then we have refrigerators and pantries with plastic in which we can seal up with food in it, and it lasts forever. And then we can also add and mush it all together so that it tastes delicious, you know? So our food environment is very, for most of us, fortunately, it's abundant.
Yeah.
And accessible.
And there's food everywhere, right? There's fast food anywhere that you want to stop. Most workplaces have some type of food there. Well, not most. A lot of them do. So, like, dude, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So now if we look at that, have that out the way, you realize, well, we're going to gravitate towards convenience and comfort. That's the default now. That's the default, right?
Like, what's just the easiest? What do I have to think the least about, and I'm going to do that?
And think about it before. So if we were chasing these things before, you wanted some warmth, right? Some temperature. You wanted some comfort. You wanted food. You would have to, what would all those things involve?
Work.
Massive amounts of work and physical activity. You would have to go find trees and chop it down and start a fire, which if you watch any of these like TV shows, you see starting a fire can end up taking like 4 hours and be very physically.
Because it's not, you don't have this like
lighter.
This like dried out wood and everything is just ready to go and cured. Like sometimes you just find green wood and you got to try to burn that.
Yeah, and then you had to grow food or kill food. Obviously, physicality.
A lot of work.
Improved with that. So you see, exercise wasn't even a word because it's just what we did.
Yeah, you worked for your stuff.
So now here we are today, 2022, modern environment. If our default state now is before, so our default state was we got to work to have comfort and food. Now that is the default state. So the work now is kind of like planning and creating an environment that supports our health that's against the default. So we have to mimic all those things that we evolved doing.
Yeah.
Which means we probably need to schedule in our workouts.
Yeah,
right?
create time for you to actually move, whereas it used to be baked into your day.
Because if you don't put it in there, you're not going to do it because the comforts are going to be calling.
The couch and Netflix just is way better.
And even at that, so I've worked at gyms since I was 20. Big Globo type gyms. I've had 24-hour gyms. Now we have like a group training type gym. And everything we do at the group training gym is the motivation for that was like, well, regular gyms don't work for a lot of people. What do we need to do? So one example is, people have to reserve their class times, right? Because what we notice is people, when you schedule it in, you're more likely to show up, right?
It's an appointment.
Then the other thing, when you show up, well, there's a coach and there's a workout already planned, right? So you don't have to think about what to do because what happens is, and I, like I said, worked at a Gold's Gym and I would be there from 4:35 a.m. to 7 p.m. for a couple years, and you watch people, and people come and they join and they're excited. Same thing at my 24-hour gyms. Then they show up and they don't really have a plan for when they're there, and they kind of like walk around, do something, maybe like whatever, grab a lat pull down, do a set.
Machine to machine.
Flail their arms around, go walk on the treadmill a little, and then kind of go home and then basically not come back for a year.
Yeah.
And the reality is like, if you go, there's so many things there, and you don't have a plan.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And you end up, you're not going to, it's not going to be as effective, right? And then you're not going to be as excited to keep going because maybe you don't see progress or feel progress, or it's just overwhelming and frustrating to walk in there and not really know what to do.
Shoot, no direction.
That's how I feel when I go to Home Depot all the time. I don't know none of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just makes you.
Hey, imagine going to the grocery store.
Yeah,
you have no plan. You literally don't know what you're going to eat or anything. Well, yeah, that's overwhelming. You don't know what to get.
Yeah. And it makes you feel like, you probably feel fine going to Home Depot, but like inadequate. You're like, I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
and then
you feel like a dummy.
It's like no one's there seems to want to help you. You got kind of and that's how most people feel going to a gym, right? And same thing with eating. Imagine there's so we'll use one example where people are like, I crave sugar and sugar is my biggest like culprit and it makes me mess up. Well, that's because ultimately your brain prefers carbohydrates as fuel, so we need some. So if you restrict it a lot, you're going to have cravings for it, right? So, but then when we have cravings, well, what happens if you weren't planned and you don't have fresh fruit or good whole grain starches next to you? You're going to reach for what's there and convenient. Which is
your brain wants the fast one.
Yeah, it's going to be the tasty, delicious, sugary thing that's in a package.
That honey bun, baby,
with no shelf life. Yeah, and then hey, those are engineered to taste delicious and make it easy to overeat. So now, we do overeat.
And now your brain, now that you kind of established that, now your brain wants that. It expects it. And then you go for that sugary snack every day because your brain's like, hey, this is good. This fulfills what we need. Let's do it.
And what do we do? And then you're not prepared. So you don't really eat at any set time. You just kind of go until you're like, cravings are so strong. And then you're like, now let me just go grab something. And then we...
It's almost like a frantic state that you're operating, or your brain's operating out of at that point where like, oh my God, we need something. And there's not as much rational thinking going on. Like, it's more of an urgent need to grab whatever for some quick calories.
Yeah. And on the flip side, if you planned a meal and you had, dinner, you had some protein, you had some carbs, you had a little bit of fat, you're going to be less likely to have these strong pulls and cravings.
Yeah.
Now, yes, having these things means you have to go shop for them. You typically have to prepare them. You kind of have to like portion things out and package it together and maybe put it in a lunch bag and take it with you.
Yeah, it is a little bit of work.
It is work, but like we said, well, we used to have to do a lot of other work in the opposite direction, and this is still more convenient. But yeah, it's not the default,
Yeah.
So that's why it is difficult because of our modern default settings now. So,
yeah, part of what spurred this conversation on, I dropped Whitney at work today, and she works at the shipyard. And if you're from this area, you know what that is. If you're not, it's just a shipyard. But anyways, man, you see all the people walking in at the same time, and this dude was just walking in. Literally, all he had was a cell phone. No bag, no water, no food, no nothing. Literally just like going into work completely raw with no plan, no nothing, and I can't imagine living my life like that. Like, my man was about to go either eat out of a vending machine or he was having Bojangles or whatever it is because they have, all those food trucks there.
Mm-hmm.
It just, didn't have a plan at all. So, and I think most people operate like that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do.
Like vacation mode?
Yeah, it's almost like you're in vacation mode. Like, let's just see what happens on a given day, right? You take it day to day, no real thought as to what you're doing. And, 10, 15 years of that does affect you.
And think about it. We call it vacation mode, vacation day. Because think about when you go on vacation. You're in a new place. You don't know where things are. You don't have, refrigeration typically. You don't have a kitchen, so you can't prepare food. You are on vacation, so you want to try different things.
Yeah, and you don't have a lot of structure to your day like you maybe do in your home.
So you should kind of be out willy-nilly just...
Yeah, try things, have no experiences.
Where does the wind blow you? And hey, we got to eat. I'm hungry. Let's grab this. This looks good. Let's walk in here, which is fine. But the reality is that if that's your default setting at home, then that's your plan. You're going to struggle.
Yeah, your plan is to have no plan.
You're going to struggle, right? So,
and let's talk about how expensive that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, eating fast food every day is not cheap.
I mean, even if you eat out for lunch every day, that's typically... I mean, I don't know. Cause you're typically 10.
We don't eat out. For lunch.
It's $10 to $15. It depends, right? If you're getting the same thing at McDonald's, you could probably get a combo for $6, $7, $8.
Yeah.
But then if you're going to a Chipotle or
with a drink, a Chipotle or a Cava is going to be $15.
$15. So we'll just split and say $10 a day, right? You do that 5 days a week.
That's 50 bucks.
20 days a month. That's $200, right?
Yeah. And we know those meals could be had for way cheaper than that. A couple bucks a day, generally, for something simple I mean, we'll go simple bodybuilder chicken and rice.
Yeah.
It's really not that expensive.
I mean, I have my meals, for the most part, grocery per person. It's like $9. I mean, really, a lot of times cheaper, $7 to $9 a day, depending on the type of meat we're getting.
But three meals?
Yeah, 3 meals a day.
We'll call it at tops $3 a meal.
Yeah, tops $3 a meal. So each meal's $2 to $3. So
compare that to that 10 to 15. Damn, having a plan sounds nice.
Yeah. And then when you know that and you go have a meal and it's disappointing and your regular meals you make, you're more satisfied with.
You're like, damn, I could have just ate at home.
I know. And you end up choosing to do that more.
I feel like as I get older, I don't know if it's just getting older or just, more time living my life this way, that just becomes more apparent. There's very few things that are worth going out to eat for.
Yeah.
Really, sushi's probably the only one that's really worth it because I'm not making that at home.
Yep.
Most other stuff, is not groundbreaking. And generally, eating out is more of a social experience. So that's where the enjoyment comes from.
Yeah.
But the food itself, it's all right. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the social experience and bring my normal food with me.
Yeah.
But that's not acceptable.
Yeah. I'd rather go out for drinks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Eat dinner, go get a drink, hang out.
Just because. And then, too, it costs way more, but it's funny. People be like, "Oh yeah, then you're spending way more on the alcohol." And it's like, well, the reality is, alcohol is not something you should be trying to let me get the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's some kind of nutrition. No, I can get more bang for my buck. As sitting at home. So it's but the reality is well,
you're sitting at home drinking.
You should only be having 2 or 3 drinks anyways.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get your money's worth and have 9 drinks for the price of.
That's not
that's a terrible.
That's not what we're going for.
Terrible way to look at it, right?
But some people think that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not me, man.
That's called alcoholism.
That is called alcoholism, by the way. So, which is very normalized now. And maybe that's a whole nother episode of the podcast. I know we've talked about it before, but damn.
Yeah.
If you're drinking a bottle of wine a day,
you
might need a little bit of help.
I looked it up recently, because I wasn't sure, a normal bottle of wine, how many glasses it actually is. It's 5.
Yeah.
5 ounces.
5 glasses of wine?
Yeah.
Damn.
So a bottle of wine is 5 glasses, which if you drank 5 glasses a night, that's heavy drinking. Which, if you go back, which podcast, did we break this down?
We might have.
We went through a podcast and that broke down the different definitions of it, of light drinking, moderate drinking.
Yeah, we
drinking.
did.
So, and again, it ties back a little bit into planning and preparing. So and some people, you don't even realize that we're somewhat tongue in cheek talking about this, but it is a serious issue. And if you don't realize it, right? you don't plan and you end up drinking way more than you realize, that's not helping, right? So have a plan, So if you're going out to get cocktails that you're paying, $6 a cocktail, cool. I'm gonna have 3 drinks max. Like I'm spending $20, right?
Yeah.
Not including tips. So, so say, cool. I'm spending $30, right? And I'm having 3 drinks. So it kind of regulates you, and you have that plan, right? And then 2, typically, if you're not going alone, which maybe you are, and that can be an experience too, but you're going with friends, so you're tying the drinks and drinking into other things too. Like, hey, this is about like enhancing my experience with, friends and conversation and things like that. So, and you are having a limit, so it's not about just getting drunk, right?
Yeah, so it's more about the experience than just only the alcohol.
Yeah. So that's where, like, little things like that, by planning, and eventually it becomes a habit. Like, we kind of just broke it down, and that is like a thought process and planning process. But then it just becomes your norm and what you do, and
it becomes easier, I think, to enjoy some experiences when you do it that way.
Yep. And same thing, right? Yeah. Say you've got to plan your lunch that you take to work, and you got to carry a bag with you, and you got to prep it like the night before, the morning of, or the weekend before. Initially that there's that work up front, but then it does become habit and just what you do, and you don't know any different. So that's how we are now, and I am now. And if you told me to start going out to eat for lunch every day, if the thought of that feels like more work.
It does, because now you got to go somewhere.
Because now I'm like, I got to get in my car and drive and sit in line, and then like, I don't know, the whole this sounds crazy, but it's all like, you know what I just don't understand either, is like eating in your car while you're driving, and also eating at, again, social things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, say like we had like recently right into upstairs at that brewery, right? And then imagine if
you know me, I'm always on the run, up early and home late. So having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
While everyone's still gathering and chatting and mingling, there's like pizza there, right? But then you're standing there like someone's talking to you, and you're just eating like slices of pizza. Like, so to me, it's like it takes away from the conversation, and I'm like, well, I'm not even getting to enjoy or focus on the food because I'm trying to pay attention to this conversation, right? Whereas I'd rather have.
I mean, it's a good point.
And it's distracted eating, right? So, I would prefer to have meals with like just my wife and myself ultimately, or especially fun meals, so then the food can be the star and I can really enjoy it and eat undistracted. So that's just me talking out loud. I know still some people, let's have a party and crush pizza. But when you kind of start planning for these things, you notice, oh wait, I didn't even get to enjoy it. I didn't even notice because I was sidetracked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think food in a very large setting is weird.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just like, a small group, it becomes way more manageable, right?
Yeah.
But like when it is a very social mingling type event like we had, a lot of food is kind of odd. Like a drink is fine. A drink is easy to navigate, and that's you're not chewing in somebody's face. But yeah, that is the eating in the car. Like while you drive is weird. Like I see people just crushing egg McMuffins in the morning.
Yep. Sitting in their lap. And then the argument would be like, well, this is the only time I have time to eat. And then it's like, well, no, I can easily break it down for you.
We can figure it out.
You drove here, say it took 4 minutes, and you sat in this line for 5 minutes. So right there, it's
like
almost,
you could have made a bowl of oatmeal at home and you would have been all right.
Exactly. And sat down at the table and ate it and left and been at the same timeline.
Yeah. It's 3 minutes max to microwave some oatmeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Put a little protein powder, bananas, something in it, and dude, there's your breakfast.
Yeah. Like the logistics of grabbing food like that, and I've done this, and I have it actually in my notes to make like a reel about it, but a very expansive one where literally I would like time it ourselves, like video it and actually do it and time it.
Yeah.
Like time both these scenarios.
Yeah.
Where
which one.
I wake up. So yeah, I have protein oatmeal right now for breakfast. So if I wake up, start cooking it, preparing it, take the bowl, put it on a scale, pour in the oats, hit the amount I'm trying to have, pour water in, pop it in the microwave. So that takes 15 seconds, right? Then pop in the microwave. I have a lot of oats. It's like 120 grams, so it's like I do 4 minutes in the microwave. Take it out, stir it, cinnamon, salt, the protein powder, stir, boom, done. So
done.
I mean, we'll even be graceful and say 6 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And then sit there and eat it, right? So whatever. I mean, if I'm taking, you can eat fast, you can eat slow, but we'll say 10 minutes eating that. So 15 to 20 minutes, right? Yeah. Start to finish, boom, bang, bing. That's the time. Now I could be out the door and doing whatever. Now let's say you're going to Chick-fil-A. Are they open for breakfast? They have breakfast?
Yeah, they got breakfast.
Or whatever, or McDonald's,
They got chicken minis, bro, for breakfast.
And yeah, so now you got to drive there, which, and maybe for someone it is exactly on their way.
But for some people, it's a little out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to go wait in the drive-thru.
So we'll say even that, and the fact you kind of have to slow down and stop. So there's easily 3-4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're waiting in the drive-thru, and if it's a peak time, it could be a 15-minute wait easily, right?
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes. So, but we'll say 10 minutes to get in line, get your order, get your food, right? So there it is, 15 minutes, right? And that's being generous. And then you got to eat it, right? Now if you're eating and driving,
that's distracted
eating. Yeah, you're
man.
saving time, but that's some huge issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so even say then you spin around and just sit and eat it in your car. So same thing, you eat it in 10 minutes. So now we're looking at
almost 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes. 20 minutes being generous, and more than likely you're pushing close to 30. So,
yeah. So a little more time and
you save money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only reason is because it's more convenient and comforting.
It's easier.
Yeah, it's easier because you don't have to technically do anything, right? You don't have to go shop for that food. You don't have to portion it out. You don't have to cook, there's just less steps.
Yeah.
Right?
The funny thing is that when you do those steps, that little bit of work up front, you realize this isn't even really that hard.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's the thought of I don't want to do this. I just want to stop. Where, we don't go through, what we went through usually doesn't go through people's minds. It's more I don't want to put in the effort. I'm just going to stop and grab this.
Yeah.
So the trade-off of I don't want to do anything. So waiting a little longer maybe is fine.
Yep.
But it's just a lot easier and more time saving and money saving to do that little bit of work so that you are better in the long run.
Well, and then we can break it down further, right? So let's look at the protein oatmeal. So the scoop of protein, it's $1. The oats are
oats are cheap, man.
Pennies, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing. I mean, I don't know. We'll say 25 cents for the serving of oats. $1.25, right? $1.50. So the egg McMuffin or whatever you get there, I mean, it's probably going to end up being $5 worth of stuff easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then multiply that over at least if you do that every weekday.
Think about that across a year, man.
Yeah. And then let's talk about, the protein in oats is going to give you more nutrition, right? Typically, and some sustained, more whole, unprocessed, so all the benefits of that, right? Whereas
You're gonna be a little more full for longer. You're less likely to grab other snacky foods.
You might end up being hungry 3 hours later, or kind of start that roller coaster of like, man, it makes you want to eat more because it was super delicious, and you're more likely maybe to grab that drink because it's like convenient that's paired with it. So yeah, you start to see like on all phases and stages the price you do pay for being
convenient.
Convenient and not planning and not preparing.
Yeah. You got to plan. I've been doing oatmeal a lot lately. Probably for the past month, I've consistently done it. For a while, I had done like protein yogurt. And then actually what caused me to stop that is like I couldn't find yogurt anywhere.
Yeah,
the
but
kind
I went
that
through that phase, yeah.
So I just started eating oats, and I feel a lot more full on that. Like it carries me for longer. And not that I was crazy like hungry after eating protein powder and yogurt and berries, but dude, the oats are just they're legit.
And it's crazy, actually. I mean, for me, I have it down, and I sacrifice trade-offs, right? Like, I actually prefer and, less variety and all that. But, like, my prep time is so little and literally it basically preps, like, 20-some meals a week. And that, like, so there's my protein and oats, right? So that was, like, 5 minutes of prep time a day. And then I take the chicken breasts and normally throw them in the crock pot. Like at the night I get them, right? Throw them in the crock pot, 6, 7 p.m. And then they cook overnight. Then they're ready, shred them up. And now I have like the week's worth of chicken. And then say for lunch and dinner, I have chicken and rice. And I'll mix up the sauces and stuff. But like, boom. So that took really, obviously it cooked while I was sleeping, but actual prep work.
For you, the work you actually
literally
had to do.
Open the chicken, throw it in the crock pot, pour in some stock, or sometimes some barbecue sauce or different things, and then press the button. And then take it out, and you take them out, and they shred like,
when they're overnight,
butter, like shred it into a Tupperware. So literally less than 2 minutes of prep. And then it's in there. So then when it's time to eat, and then in the morning too, so I'm making my oatmeal, I'll pour in my rice in the rice cooker. So measure in my rice, pour in the water, hit the button, bing. So that's 1 minute, 2 minutes. So right there, it's like 5 minutes a week with the chicken, 6 minutes a day with the oats, 2 minutes a day with the rice. So that's 8 minutes. So you're looking at like, and then I put the meals together, like 30 seconds each, right? It's cool. Easy. Take out the rice from the rice cooker, plop it in the bowl, take out the chicken. Sometimes I'll reheat it in like the pan with like different mustards or salsas, but even then, so we'll add a minute or two for that. But essentially, 10 minutes a day.
Yeah,
an extra 5 minutes a week for the chicken. So you're looking at for the week a little over an hour.
Yeah,
that's it. An hour of time to have every single meal prepped and made. Now again, the trade-off is simplicity, right? If I was having different stuff for every meal, and it's going to be way different, right? So that's where people got to weigh it. But just an example, and a little more of an extreme end of if you have a couple things you like and you get it down, it's easy. It's an hour a week.
We usually generally both of us have the same thing for breakfast every single day, and then I have generally the same thing for lunch, and then Whitney, her lunch is just whatever's left over from dinner generally. So, but we rotate through the same couple meals every single week. Same stuff all the time. And it's probably 4 different meals, but we've done them so often that like I could throw them together in like 10 minutes maybe. Some of them are, putting chicken in the crock pot or just having some ground turkey in a pan. And it's literally, the quickest meal, and like we do have a little more variety than you do. So the trade-off is, it does take a little more time. But even then, we do it so often, it's so streamlined that the effort's just not really very high.
Yeah.
Like all of our meals can throw them together in my sleep. Don't have to measure anything or like look up the recipe. It's just, hey, this is what we put together.
Yeah.
And, there's some recipes that we've made like, on the weekend, we like to make maybe something a little different and it is a little more involved.
Yeah. But then it's like for fun too, in a way.
But with those, like I've gotten to a point where I can like simplify that down to where it turns into a weekday meal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't need to add that. Like that's, there's certain things that are just I'm fine without having them in
Yeah.
the meal, to where now I can do this on a weeknight because it's super simple.
Yeah.
And then, that's the trade-off to, still like having the same stuff is like, yeah, we eat the same thing every week, but dude, I could throw it together in my sleep.
Yeah.
So it's not a whole lot of effort on our part anymore
Yep.
either. So kind of the middle of the road from where you're at. And then the opposite end would be like you eat something different for every single meal, but you still prep and plan
Yeah.
it.
And everything comes with a level of stress and trade-off, right? Like, oh, you may get bored the other way. Well, and we worked with people. People get stressed the other way. Like, I got to make something new for every meal. I got to find these recipes.
Yeah,
I got to go to the grocery store and pick up these extra ingredients, and it just becomes exhausting too, right? So it's like,
yeah, that's almost more stressful in my opinion.
unless you have a personal chef,
Yeah, or like you have a ton of time. Maybe like you don't work and your spouse does
Yeah.
or whatever. Like maybe you do have the time to do that. But still, the stress level associated with feeling like you need to always have a new recipe and you got to try this and you got to do it different. I'm good.
Yeah. And then with working out, right? Same thing. You got to find that trade-off. Like, so yeah, again, most people do better with a plan, right? Now, luckily with the internet, you can go online and find millions of workout
There's so many
plans for free, right? So if you go to the gym and have a plan to follow, like you are more likely to stick with it, right? And you should. Like, this is your your body, right? You get one of them. It's the only thing you have from the time you're born until the time you pass. So it's funny. Yeah, you should take care of it, and you shouldn't just like willy-nilly do random stuff because, again, this is your body. This is and not just your muscles, it's your bones and your nervous system, and all that is affected by like physical activity and how you do things. So, having a plan, it helps, right? And yeah, some people have the time to want to research and figure it out on their self, learn and do all these things, or you can outsource this, right? You can hire a trainer. You can do a group training program.
Or you just show up and do the work.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to think. It's just there, and then someone's telling you how to do it and what to do it, and if you're doing it right. So, like, yeah, find that for yourself. But again, and I've seen this, again, in the industry, like, people who say go to, like, a group-style training gym or a trainer are more likely to stick with it and do
For sure.
better, right? Because there's less obstacles in their way, and yeah, when there is a plan they're executing, you're more likely to stick with it versus you join a gym. It's up to you. Show up. Most people, again, walk around, don't come back for a year until they can cancel.
And like you have to do all the research on your own. It's akin to like looking up all these recipes and having to figure out how to cook. Like, it is a lot when you're trying to do all this complex stuff, but if you can outsource or make it simple, like, way less barriers.
You have to plan. And both of it's planning, right? Even if you decide to outsource it, you're planning to do that. Like, same thing with food. We just talked about having a chef. You could also hire a meal. There's meal prep companies.
Which is a great way to do it.
All that stuff, you could have a different meal for every meal, but someone else is cooking it. You just now have to take it out and put it in the microwave or reheat it in the oven. So
and for some people, those are perfect and they're well worth the money.
Yeah. So it has the cost to it, but that's a plan. Cool. I'm not going to do this myself. I don't want to just leave myself open to, milkshakes and fried chicken. So I'm going to do a meal prep service, right?
Man, I was talking to somebody. I don't know if it was someone new at the gym or what, but they literally have all of their meals delivered. They don't cook a thing for themselves. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all delivered, but their entire fridge is just 21 meals. That's it. They don't cook anything. They don't buy anything. But for them, they're not bringing a bunch of stuff into the house. Yep. And time-wise, like, maybe they don't have the time or don't want to cook, but they plan to only eat these meals, and it serves them perfectly.
And think of the bandwidth it frees you up for.
That's the other
right?
thing.
You don't even have to think about what you're eating.
Nah.
You don't have to spend one iota on it. So, yeah, then if you're able to pour that into other responsibilities and things. And so, yeah, there's different avenues, but they all involve – you got to have some planning, man, because if you default to our modern environment, both when it comes to movement, exercise, and eating, the default's comfort and convenience.
Yeah, you're getting pulled along by comfort and getting pulled to, the first thing that catches your eye or that you smell while you're driving down the road. You're like, oh, man, Chick-fil-A smells really good right now. And then you go wait in line for 55 minutes.
And remember, these food places, like they're businesses. They want to make money, and tastier food is what people want. Well, tastier food is more calorically dense, right? So it works against our goals. So that's where and why, like, you have to plan to either prepare food on your own, so you're in control, or find some kind of outlet that prepares it like you would prepare it on your own, which is like a meal prep, a chef, a food service. You got to kind of like make that.
And think if you're getting fast food every day, like it's almost a lateral slide price wise to maybe a meal prep service for a lot of your meals. You know, they're going to be what, $6 to $8 a meal.
Yeah,
is about right.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? The funny thing people say. When say, yeah, it is a lateral slide, so they're spending $8 a day, right, for fast food.
Yeah.
And then they switch to a meal prep company that's like, you know, Whole Foods already cooked. And it's to say $8 a meal. You know what everyone always says without a doubt? Oh, these portions are so much smaller. But the reality is like, no, this is like a, say, 500, 600 calorie meal. This is it. Like, this is what it's supposed to look
Your
like.
Your other meal was like,
yeah,
1,200 calories, 1,500 calories.
So, you know, it's like eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah. And but I think it's worth comparing the two, though, for people. You know, if you are somebody who grabs stuff on the go a lot, well, it might make sense to, hey, I don't really feel like cooking. Let me just set up this meal prep service. You can pick all of the meals that you want for it, and they send them to you, and, like, you put them in the microwave and go. Yeah. Or if you're sick and you just don't like to heat things up, eat them cold, man.
Yeah.
And that's cool, too. So just know, like, that is an option for people if you find yourself always grabbing stuff on the go. You can still make it extremely easy for yourself.
Yeah. You got to think of it, man. Planning and preparing's like safe sex.
Yeah.
Because if you're just out here, you just wake up and you say to yourself, I'll go to the gym sometime this week. I'll find something to eat today.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to have, but I'll get something.
You just walk out of your house. You don't pack a gym bag. You don't pack a lunch.
Don't even bring any water with you.
You just grab your keys and leave for the day.
And you just go.
You're raw dogging it, man.
Raw dogging life. Like on one hand, though, I envy just the freedom of that person, you know? Yeah. But at the same time, I know that in our current system, it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, dude, imagine leaving your house with no phone. Just you and your keys. It's freeing, but God, does it sound stressful.
I don't know. So start planning and preparing, man.
Just plan it.
Get that planning and preparing protection.
In some way. Like, we've outlined
that PPP. Planning, preparing, protection.
There's a million ways to do it, so just figure out which one works for you. It doesn't mean you got to meal prep and Tupperware every meal of your week, but figure out some way to prep for what you're going to do. That's all.
All right.
That's all we want.
Hopefully, we saved someone out there.
I hope so. From raw dogging their day. Just, oh, God.
Start small, too.
Yeah.
Don't do it all.
Just a little bit.
You just write a workout into your schedule.
Yeah. Or just make your breakfast every day.
Mm-hmm.
Something. And keep it simple. Like our example, oatmeal is the easiest thing to make. Oatmeal, water, a little salt, put it in the microwave, you're good. You can go finish getting ready.
Yeah.
Boom.
Little protein powder.
I do 3 eggs with my oatmeal.
Yeah.
But protein powder is even easier. So make it simple. Don't complicate. That's my advice.
There we go. I think that pulls it all together.
Yeah.
So this week, episode 151, it's a wrap. We appreciate you for listening.
Okay. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time. See you next time.